This is the 365 Days of Multi-Level Marketing Journey to Freedom podcast with Rome Bachelor, where Rome shares his daily journey from down and out to total financial freedom in 1 year, along with pro tips, tricks, strategies, and tools to help you join in on the journey. Now, here's Rome with today's Journey to Financial Freedom podcast.
How to promote and edify your upline. The upline, your support team member that's helping you build your business. See, if you don't introduce people correctly, if you don't make a proper introduction from your prospect to the person helping you, because it's all about social proof and third party, it's not about you and your message, because then it becomes, what do you know that I don't know, and why you think you're so good, and why are you talking down to me? If you got to remove all that garbage, man, and you've got to introduce the upline correctly. If you don't introduce the upline correctly, and you don't introduce the prospect correctly, guess what? Your chances of success go way down. You might be wasting your time. So you want to be a professional connector, a professional connector. So in this, that's part of the campfire too. Not just promoting events, but be a professional connector, because your upline is part of the heat, man. The heat. You want to get your prospect to the heat. Get into the heat. The best, most excited, powerful upline that will help you, support team member, leader that will help you build a business, is where you're going to get the most results. Whoever will help you do it, use that person. If you feel like they've got a successful approach in business, then you need to ask for their help and see if they'll help you. And it may be your sponsor, it may be your sponsor, or anyone that will help you that's succeeding. Use that person. But that's you want to promote and edify everyone in your upline to a degree, your support team, to your prospects, so they know they're in a good team and they know why you believe in those people. But you want to promote and edify most the one that's helping you most. That's the one you need to lay it on a little thicker, because that's the one they're going to be meeting most. That's the one they're going to be relying on most, because that's the one that's helping you and your team the most. So it's very important that you create an environment that your prospect wants to meet these cool people, or that cool person in particular. You may be so fortunate to have 2 or 3 like that, that you use almost equally. But usually, typically, there'll be one upline that's more involved in your group and your team and your success than anyone else, and that's the one you need to fall in love with and endorse. You need to endorse. Hopefully you have somebody like that, because if you don't, then that's a whole nother challenge to answer, because you've got to be sincere in this thing. You've got to mean the words, or they will feel you don't. It's got to be real. So hopefully you've got a quality person that loves you, that cares about you, that's working with you, making a difference, and has the right skills to help you be effective in building your business, and to be effective for you in building your business. So when you find that person, man, that's a treasure. That's gold. That person's going to put $1 million in your bank account. You better appreciate it, and you better grease the skids a little bit, so that these people want to meet that quality person who's taking time away from their family to help you. So you got to appreciate them, and you got to maximize and make it the most out of every opportunity. When you connect people, you need to do it professionally. Be a professional connector. Part of the campfire is the team, is the leadership, and you need to be good at that. And so endorse that person. Now, how do you do it? It depends. I don't know what's true about that person, but I'll give you some examples. Here's some examples. Let's say Bob's your upline. Jim's your prospect. Bob is, I really want you to meet Bob. Bob's my business partner. In fact, they're my senior business partner. They've really made a difference. They're very successful at what they do. In fact, they're one of the most successful people for the time they've been involved in this whole business, in this whole area. Or Jim, I can't wait for you to meet Bob. They're one of the top people in this whole business, in this area, and I knew you'd want to meet him, because Bob is making a difference in my life and in my business, and they've really become a friend. I've grown to really respect him, and he's making a difference and helping me build my business, taking away time from his family to help me do the same thing that they're doing successfully, and I deeply appreciate it, and I knew you'd want to know what they were doing and meet them. right? These are the different things. Bob is one of the top people I know in this whole business, in this whole area of what we're doing, in this whole profession of what we're doing. And besides that, he's got a heart as big as Texas. And he's helping me, and I knew, and he wants to help you. I told him about you, and he wants to meet you, right? It varies, and it's a little bit tricky in this environment without having a specific person in mind. But the truth is, I'll give you an example. Bart's one of the top people in the whole business of what we do. He's one of the top business developers in the whole world, and he's developed many people into millionaires, both directly and indirectly, and has had an organization that has spanned the globe in many countries in Europe and around the world. And he is very involved in my business. He's mentoring me, coaching me, teaching me, and I knew, and I told him about you, he wants to meet you. I knew you'd want to know what he was doing. Or Aaliyah is one of the top people for the time she's been involved at what she does in the United States. She's respected around the whole country as a leader in what we do. She's super helpful. She's super sweet. She's got a heart as big as Texas, and she's super knowledgeable on the details, things that I don't even know. I mean, she's an expert, and she's been very instrumental in my success, and I knew you'd want to meet her. She is a class act. Right? So this is the kind of way that you can endorse the person that's helping you. You got to endorse them. And if you don't endorse them, they're not going to be effective. And listen, that prospect is mentally in some way maybe guarded, like emotionally their arms may be somewhat crossed. And if they don't, when you do that, it tends to help them uncross their arms figuratively and lean in instead of leaning back, because now they're curious, they want to meet this person. So if you don't do a good job endorsing that person, you're hurting everyone, yourself especially. So now on the flip side, how do you do it the other way? You want to help endorse in a different way your prospect to your upline. Let's say the prospect is Sarah. You then go to your upline, say Bob, and say, Bob, I really can't wait for you to meet Sarah. Sarah's somebody that I want to introduce you to. She is somebody with a super big heart. She really cares about people. She's got a lot of integrity, and she's besides that, she's a hard worker. She happens to be my neighbor, but I've known her a while, and I have a lot of respect for her. And I just can't wait. She's a she works at the bank, and she's just as a reliable person I've ever met. Now, how does Bob feel about meeting Sarah now? Bob wants to meet this person, doesn't he? He can't wait to meet this prospect. So also, what does that do for Bob? Bob now knows how you know Sarah. She's your neighbor. Bob now knows what Sarah does. She works at a bank. And more importantly, Bob knows a little bit about who Sarah truly is. And what you just described were leadership traits. She's reliable. She works hard. She really is compassionate, cares, and loves people. Those are types of leadership traits. And so Bob is going to be really genuine when he meets Sarah and wants to connect with her. And when when you set it up that way, Sarah is curious and wants and more desirous to meet Bob, and Bob really is desirous to meet Sarah. And so what you did is you removed yourself and your ego out of the equation, and you became a classy connector to the campfire. You became a classy campfire connector at that moment. And what you did is you professionally did your job so that every chance of success in that connection is possible, because the environment is right, because you did it, because you set it up. You are becoming a leader by doing classy professional connection. So what would that look like? Bob might then say when you introduce them, and by the way, it's best to do this before you introduce them so that it's not awkward. But you can do it a little light. Let's say you didn't have a chance to At the introduction, you can do it a little bit the same way, but just do it lightly. And in that case, you would not tell Bob in front of Sarah the good things, because that will come off like flattery. It won't work. It could be counterproductive. But you can endorse Bob to Sarah, and in fact, you best. And if you haven't done it previously, and you may do it again lightly, even if you've done it previously. Say, Sarah, I can't wait. I've got Bob on the line here. And this could be at a luncheon. This could be face-to-face. But typically it's on the telephone. Sarah, I've got Bob on the line. Bob is excited to meet you. And Bob has been instrumental in helping me. He's one of the top leaders in this whole area of what he does. And he's got the heart as big as Texas. He's been really making a difference, helping us. And I told him briefly about you, and he wanted to meet you. And I knew you'd want to meet him. I just can't wait. I'm so excited you guys get to meet. Bob meet Sarah. Sarah meet Bob. See, if you become a classy connector, then everything works best. What does Bob now say? Bob, if you've done it previously, like we prefer, Bob now says to Sarah, Sarah, I understand that, you are someone that really cares about people, and you're a hard-working, reliable person. Is that true? What that tells and conveys, without saying it, is that it conveys to Sarah that you've been talking good about who she really is as a human being behind her back. You recognize her good qualities, and because it's sincere, it works. If it's fake, it's flattery. If it's fake, you do it in front of her. But if it's real, you do it ahead of time. And Sarah will then be in a position, she might deny, well, I don't know about all that. But what it simply does is it relaxes the conversation so that Sarah feels better and is relaxed. And therefore, she can be more receptive to hear what's going to be said in that conversation. That is what you want. It does not, if this is not a fit for her, it's not going to change that. But what it will do, if it might be a fit for her, she will be receptive to it. If it might be a fit for her, she will be receptive. If it's awkward and clumsy and unprofessional and not smooth, not a classy connection, even if it is a fit for her, she may disqualify it because the tone, the environment was not a good one right off the bat. And that's something you can control. That's something you can control. So in closing for today, day 19 on how to campfire to your and be a campfire connector the right way, you want to definitely endorse not only how you know your prospect to your upline, not only what they do for a living, but also 2 words that describe them from a character standpoint, at least 2, maybe 3, hardworking and honest, caring and, authentic, sense of humor and open-minded. Whatever the word is, the words are, tell them who that person is as a human being. And that's acknowledgement, that's powerful, and too many people don't slow down to acknowledge the good qualities in each other. And you're already setting a rich, positive environment like an oasis in the desert where the world is so negative, the world is so backbiting, the world is so jealous, the world is so competitive in a negative sense, that when you start beginning to set that kind of environment, you're letting people know there is a breath of fresh air out here, and these people are displaying it. And that creates the right environment for your prospect. But also, it helps your prospect want to hear who this person is, to have a little bit of third-party endorsement. You see, if Bob says, I'm this, it becomes bragging. You can't edify yourself. You can't brag on yourself. But you can brag on the person helping you, and it comes off perfect. It comes off classy. It comes off professional, and it's very effective. So when you tell your prospect a lot of good things about their heart, their success, for the time they've been involved, even if they've been involved a month longer than you, if they've sponsored you and anybody else, they're beginning to be successful with one of the top people in the whole area for the time they've been involved. That's still the truth. You always want to make it true. But, hopefully you're working with somebody with some more fruit on the tree than that, and you can really lay it on more intensely than I just said. He's one of the top people in the whole country at what he does, and he's been instrumental in helping me, taking time away from his family to help me succeed like he is. And he's just that kind of quality person, that rare person. He's got a heart as big as Texas, and I knew you'd want to meet him yourself. I just couldn't wait for you guys to meet each other. Sarah meet Bob, Bob meets Sarah. And then shut up, get out of the way, and don't interject. Let Bob do his thing. And if Bob brings you in, speak. If not, you got to be quiet. Get out of the way. You're not being connected with here. You're the bridge. See, the A person is your leader. That's your leader. That's your alpha in this case. You'll be the alpha later, right? Let them be the alpha now. And your C is your person, your potential customer, your potential client, the person you're trying to connect with. The C, the person you're trying to get to the campfire, your C. And what connects an A and a C is a B. And you know what you are? You're a B. You're a bridge. You're the connection. You're the bridge in between that connects them together. Your job is not to be the message or develop or convey the message. Your job is to be a good bridge between the videos, the presentations, the webinars, the events, and first and foremost, and the product, but first and foremost, in the early stages, it's a relationship business. It's not about the video. It's about the team. And it's primarily about the team leader that's helping you most, that you want to connect them to. And then you introduce them properly, but with a little less endorsement to the other leaders in the team, so they want to meet them too. And they get the idea that this is an environment of people building each other up instead of tearing each other down. This is an environment that's a breath of fresh air. This is an oasis in the desert compared to everything else in my normal life and my job where there's so much junk. And I like this environment. Sometimes the environment is what gets people in, not your product or your compensation. So make sure you're doing it right. And that's the first feeling they get quite often, unless you're giving out samples that help them feel better right away. And if so, this just enhances and endorses and verifies and highlights and supplements that, right? So this is day 19 on the topic of being a great campfire connector. This is Rome, and until tomorrow, this is 365 days to your freedom. Thank you for joining me on the journey.
Thank you for sharing today's 365 Days of MLM to Freedom podcast. And remember to email your questions and comments directly to Rome at 365daysofmlm@gmail.com. And until next time, we want to encourage you to join in on the journey.